Hello, this is Matt on the Moon Lambo channel. I'm going to share with you a development that I think every single one of you XRP holders out there is going to find rather satisfying. Because one of the things that I've been saying, and I'm certainly not the only one, for the last 2.5 years, is that the SEC is a gross agency which is tremendously overreaching. And they think they can get away with anything. They're so arrogant. The egos these people must have. They think they can just do whatever, as illustrated by their bogus nonsense claims, specifically, obviously, in the SEC v. Ripple case, but other crypto-related cases as well. They're complete and utter denial of any spot Bitcoin ETF for literally over a decade at this point. And there's a reason that this year they've been getting smacked down in case after case after case by judges in various crypto cases, with the rare exception being what happened in the library case. And even there, although we didn't quite get what we wanted even in the remedy portion of that library case, it wasn't a complete and utter disaster. I don't want to break that down again. I've talked about this on this channel, but the point is, in pretty much every crypto development that you see case-wise, it's just defeat for the SEC. And here's another defeat that I'm going to share with you, which is not crypto related, which makes it that much more interesting. It seems like they're overreaching everywhere, but it only isn't crypto related on the surface. And I'll explain what I mean by that. I also want to share with you perspective from Mark Cuban of Shark Tank fame, and as well as attorney John Deaton. And also, by the way, despite this, you know, the adoption of XRP, it's just going to keep on going regardless of what the SEC wants to occur. Look at this headline from the Crypto Basic. 30 countries, over 15% of nations in the world, may use Ripple central bank digital currency platform. And that is significant for XRP, by the way. And I'll explain why. But before going further, I do want to be clear, I do not have a legal or financial background of any kind. I am not offering legal or financial advice. And you definitely should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. I'm just an enthusiast who enjoys making YouTube videos about crypto-related topics, but just as a hobby and just for fun. All right, so I came across this first topic thanks to attorney James Murphy, who goes by the name Meta Lawman on X, formerly known as Twitter. And he wrote, a 3-judge panel of the DC Circuit just invalidated an SEC order on the grounds that it was, quote, arbitrary and capricious, end quote. 2 of those 3 judges are now considering Grayscale's case, which seeks to invalidate the SEC's denial of Grayscale's bid to convert GBTC to a spot Bitcoin ETF. So we're talking, of course, about GBTC being the Grayscale Bitcoin Trust, which is only accessible to accredited investors in the United States. They want to convert that to a spot Bitcoin ETF, which would be accessible to anybody that has an account where you're able to trade on, whether it's New York Stock Exchange or NASDAQ, wherever it would end up. So you can understand the implications of that, obviously. That opens the doors up to institutions and retail investors alike that otherwise might not be touching crypto anytime soon, if ever. And it's just so fascinating to see the phrase, arbitrary and capricious. And think about what was stated in the SEC v. Ripple case. Judge Knepper said that the SEC was engaging in a faithful or a lack of faithful allegiance to the law. It was either exactly that or something close to that. You got the cut of my jib regardless. It's just harsh words against the SEC. Now, I'm not aware of this historically being the case. There's something toxic at the SEC, and it comes from the top down. And they just do whatever they want. They take draconian approaches, total destruction. And all because they want to engage, in the case of crypto anyway, in a jurisdictional land grab. It's absolutely gross. And attorney James Murphy here retweeted some specifics from Eric Balkunas, who is the senior ETF analyst for Bloomberg. And Eric wrote the following. The SEC just lost a case in DC Circuit Court, RE Spikes Futures Court, court saying the SEC order was arbitrary and capricious, which is the same language Grayscale used in their suit. That said, this has no connection to Bitcoin, but it does show the SEC can lose. Yeah, well, we already know the SEC can lose. They just lost the biggest crypto case they possibly could have lost. Their first loss in a crypto case, XRP being deemed not a security. So they definitely can lose, and they're going to continue to lose at an increasing clip here because they put out so many crypto-related cases on bogus, just bogus foundation. And it takes so long for these things to get, to be, to go through the judicial process. So they got case after case after case, and then they start, ending 1, 2, 3 years later, however long it takes. And so, but they had a bunch out there waiting to get concluded, all under this false premise, with this just the audacity, all stemming from the same place. And so then, as a result, the dominoes start to fall. Loss, loss, loss. That's what you should anticipate anyway. And not that they're going to get full outright losses on every single case, but it's very clear, regardless, the approach they're taking is not being accepted here. Anyway, Eric continues. Interesting part 2, the judge who made this ruling is also one of the 3 judges on Grayscale case. Good catch by @JBSDC, who is Justin Slaughter on X. And then he also wrote here, Eric wrote, here's the same Grayscale language. Aside, arbitrary and capricious would be good name for an edgy/legal regulatory podcast. So, and I remember reporting this months ago. Regarding the Grayscale case, it's another example of the judges clearly finding that what the SEC is doing is completely unacceptable and inappropriate, arbitrary and capricious. They're talking about the behavior of the SEC, the way that they are going, the way that they're litigating, frankly. So, as a result, I don't see how Grayscale ultimately, because again, two of the same judges in this case, I don't see how Grayscale doesn't come out with a win on the other side of this thing, which is impactful. Because here's why. We, broadly speaking, us here in crypto, and certainly all of us here in the XRP community, we were here before pretty much every institutional entity on the planet jumped into crypto. But they're coming. They're going to come regardless. The SEC is going to have to be dragged kicking and screaming, fine. But it's happening. When that happens, it's like opening the floodgates, because it'll be a green light for all of the institutions to jump in. And even if you're talking about it just being a Bitcoin spot ETF and you're interested in XRP, more so just like I am, doesn't matter. Doesn't matter what your primary coin of interest is, because money flows into Bitcoin first, and then it cycles through crypto. That's the way this stuff works. And it'll get more people in. And then eventually there will be, I presume, an XRP spot ETF. Here's a tweet separately from Rand Neuner, and he was highlighting something that I mentioned in a video just the other day. There was this 10-minute clip, and the one that he has here only goes for a couple minutes, but it was a 10-minute interview of Gensler, and he was just getting asked about the SEC v. Ripple case and all this stuff and the loss, and he was dodging questions. He looked very uncomfortable, which is very satisfying to me. I love to see this. I just imagine that he's dreading doing any interview, but the optics of not doing any sort of public appearances would be even worse. So he's making himself go out there, but I'm sure he just dreads doing anything now because he knows he's going to get asked about this devastating loss by the SEC. And so there's this clip shared from Bloomberg, and then Rand Neuner, who, by the way, does not like XRP. He's recognizing the situation here regardless. He says, Gary sounds defeated and angry. He is now alluding that the other commissioners actually have a say when in the past they have voiced their concerns against his approach. He is clearly weakened by the XRP ruling. Yes, spot on. A rare instance where I agree with something Rand Neuner said having to do with XRP. Now, Mark Cuban of Shark Tank fame retweeted that, and he said, he is also in the habit of exclusively calling token holders investors. He knows that is incorrect, but it serves his purpose. And so I'll just pause to note here that I frequently phrase my purchases of XRP as being an investment, but understand this. I'm a lay person, I'm a dude named Moon Lambo who has a YouTube channel on the interwebs. You don't even know if I'm wearing pants, man. You don't know my current pants situation. I'm a dude on the internet, right? So when you're talking about the guy who is running the SEC, Kim Jong Gensler here, I think he needs to be held to a different standard. I'm just speaking in regular people speak. Kim Jong Gensler needs to be precise because there are implications when you use such words. For me, I'm just using this to indicate this is something I hold, and I hope that it's worth more in the future. But when you say it's an investment from a legal perspective, the implications are different. So using the term in lay terms, like you and I do, broadly speaking, is different than if you're Kim Jong Gensler leading the damn SEC. And so he knows that from a legal perspective, what he's saying is not accurate, but he wants to have this image out there that there's nothing but a bunch of gambling out there when it comes to crypto. It's just a bunch of people, placing their gambling bets on XRP and this crypto, that crypto, and he wants to make it seem slimy and unacceptable to the general public. Now, he's not fooling anybody, of course, and that's also not part of the Howey test, but that's the approach that he's been taking. It just doesn't work. Nobody's buying what he's selling here. Anyway, and then Mark Cuban also says, which leads to a question. Which tokens are still actively enhancing, supporting, and promoting? In other words, which are acting as a common enterprise? Given the decline in investment into crypto, the data might tell a different story over the past year, that efforts of the common enterprise and associated persons have declined or even ended for many tokens, shouldn't it? Making them certain to fail Howey. I don't have any data on this. Is there any way to know? Okay, so when you're talking about the common enterprise prong of the Howey test, it's fair to note that if hold on, my dog is under my desk and she's moving. Please stay still, Peeve. Okay, thank you, sweetheart. Sorry about that, folks. My pet peeve is under my desk while I'm recording almost 100% of the time. She's just pretty chill there and pretty quiet. She's good. Sorry about that. Anyway, so look, as far as this idea of, the common enterprise here, obviously, the less of an impact that a particular entity has, you could argue that you can argue that has something to do, in terms of development, this or that, to do with the common enterprise. But even then, and this is the important part, even then, you still have to look at specific transactions as it pertains to the Howey test. So you still have to apply it in that way regardless. So I just wanted to note that one particular thing. But Attorney John Deaton retweeted that from Mark Cuban and wrote the following. Excellent point. This is also why I said an appeal on Torres's ruling, even if it was successful, and I don't believe it will be, doesn't lead to an outright victory for the SEC. Judge Torres did not reach whether a common enterprise existed between Ripple, all other XRP holders, and the XRP ecosystem, including exchanges, as it relates to programmatic sales via exchanges, because the third Howey factor wasn't satisfied. The common enterprise factor was the more challenging factor for the SEC to satisfy, and its expert's opinion on that issue was excluded by the judge. Finally, we submitted thousands of affidavits from users of the platform who purchased XRP for non-investment reasons. If the SEC won on appeal regarding the third factor, the case gets remanded for Judge Torres to apply the other two factors, where she likely finds that those factors are lacking, giving us the same practical result we have today. Spot on. So even if there's an successful appeal, it would be on a primary prong of the Howey test that was ruled on by Judge Torres. So if it goes back to her, if that's what's decreed, then she'll just judge on the other factors, and she's going to come to the same conclusion. She's not going to lose on this thing. So we get the same practical result regardless. It's a beautiful thing. The SEC is so screwed here, and I absolutely love it. And then there was this. 30 countries, over 15% of nations in world, may use Ripple CBDC platform. And so there's this quote from XRP Darren, which is covering this. So I'll just be brief with this, because I just wanted to point out that the rest of the world doesn't care what the SEC has to say anyway, and things keep chugging along, and XRP is positioned as a bridge currency, and it's the best cryptocurrency on the planet with the most liquidity to be positioned for this use case. And so XRP Darren noted that there is a recent interview in which James Walls, who works for Ripple, said, hey, we're already working with 5 central banks to create central bank digital currencies that have been publicly announced. Said there's about the same number that we just haven't announced, but we're also working with them. So that'd be 10 right there. And then he says that there's another 20 on top of that they're talking to. So you can imagine if they all worked together, that would be over 15% of central banks on the damn planet utilizing Ripple's platform, central bank digital currency platform. Now, that doesn't have XRP on it in and of itself, but it will increase the velocity of money, which is the purpose of this. If you have less friction and lower costs moving money around, well, then people will do that more. You'll get more of that activity. That's the point. And what is most liquid, what crypto is most liquid, non-jurisdictional, ready to serve as a bridge? XRP. So it's happening regardless, and now it looks like it's going to be able to touch the United States on top of that again. So Green light, everybody. I'm not a financial advisor. You should not buy or sell anything because of anything I say or write. That would be a very, very, very bad idea. Until next time, to the moon, Lambo.